Guys, ladies, and gentlemen alike, let's bring back natural bodies. Let's bring back natural bodies. Let's just start normalizing things again, because I've been thinking, who are we all doing all these surgeries and all these different things for, realistically? Because the people, like the celebrities and the influencers, say they do it because they need their, highlight reels and stuff to be perfect and all this stuff for us. And then we are doing it because they're doing it and we want to look like them and we're all pressurized. So I'm like, so why don't we all just accept how we look? Even with this whole thing between men and women, the bit that has pushed me over the edge is how many guys are getting hair transplants and all this different stuff and all these different new procedures. It's how about we all just decide to just love each other the way that we all are? How about we just go back to that at this point? I don't mean to sound like such a hippie about the whole thing, because realistically, what are we changing for? What are we actually changing for? I don't physically understand. I actually don't care. And I don't know why we care. I don't know why we care. Because realistically, guys, let's think about it like this, right? The problem that we've created in society today is that we have this weird relationship with societal expectation. As in, so I feel society expected to have certain things about myself that have to be in a certain way. Like how all of the girlies nowadays, we all have the same, there's 3 different looks. And they're all the same, type of look. You have there's the Kim K look. There's a couple of different characters that we've created that all of us women are assimilating to one version of whichever one of those. And I kind of feel the similar thing with the guys as well these days, where it's it's kind of unattractive. I'm not going to lie, a lot of the stuff that guys are overly focused on, because I just think, but who actually really cares realistically? The other day there was this debate going on between these 2 guys. One of them was ripped and so strong and whatever, or high on steroids and whatnot. And there's another dude with just a normal guy's body. In fact, I've seen this happen a couple of times where a guy will value himself highly because he's got all these big fat muscles and this, that, and the other. And I want to just talk about that on a very from a female perspective, on a very literal observations. First of all, all of this time that is spent on upkeep of certain types of bodies isn't necessarily productive, because that's going to cost day-to-day time that could be used in other productive things where it's not so important. So, for example, what I'm saying is, yes, work out a little bit, keep in shape, keep your body moving, but trying to look like a bodybuilder and that becoming a full-time job is going to take away time that you could be doing other more productive things, spending time with your family, working on the things that you need to work on productive wise to actually build something that you have in this life, working, etc. So unless you are trying to be a bodybuilder and that is your job, who really cares? As long as you're in reasonable enough shape and you feel confident in how you look and you're doing the best for yourself, that's reasonable with your life, who really cares? Who really, really cares? Because there's so many cons of so much of the stuff that we're doing today, as men and women. As women, I found out that apparently when you get a nose job, you have to get it redone at least 3 times. Going under the knife is something that even when you are actually ill with something, surgeries are the last option that doctors and the healthy and the genuine caring scientists and doctors and surgeons, surgery is the last thing they want to do because of so many risks that can come along with so many of these surgeries, that it's not worth doing a surgery if they don't have to. That's why they invest so much time in so many surgeries that require less and less amount of incision, like the keyhole surgeries where they can just make a tiny hole and do whatever, because the more that the wounds that are created and then the looking after of it and then the potentials for infections and then also the upkeep, it's not good for our bodies, right? Even scar tissue, your tissue can scar, and it can, there's a certain point that if you keep cutting open and redoing and cutting open and redoing the same area, eventually your skin will not actually, the cells that usually come together and they do all of this to bring your skin back together and close up the wound, eventually they won't do that anymore, And so I'm not judging anybody. Trust me, I can tell you guys exactly what type of work I would get done if I was to get work done on my body, because I would get certain things done if in a world, and I can understand the pressure, because it is a lot of pressure. Like from my standpoint, as somebody who's not had any cosmetic surgery, I haven't done any like lip fillers or nose this or nose whatever. I do personally feel I feel a lot of the time the feeling of like, wow, I feel less attractive as a whole just because I'm not doing what other people are doing. So it's not like I'm saying stuff to you guys that I don't like deal with. I struggle with a lot of issues with my own body and how my body looks, and there's a lot of things I would realistically happily pay to go under the knife to fix if that's all that I have to do. But then my thinking is, and this has always been my thinking, is that, you know, I feel for like my daughter, because I wouldn't want my daughter to risk her life. I wouldn't want my son to risk their lives to try and look like me. I'd rather, you know, find a way somehow, which I'm still figuring it out, right? You know, to embrace myself completely so that I can pass that on to my children, because I would hate to be the reason why they decide to get work done, because the genes that I have are what's going to pass on. Whatever it is that I'm struggling with in my genetics, I'm going to pass that on. Obviously, I believe in the Lord, so I'm actually praying for a lot of things to end at my end with me for my kids, like certain things. But yeah, so, you know, the scar tissue and all of this stuff, it's very risky. And for what? Like, when there's people that can appreciate you exactly as you are, like exactly how you are. And a lot of times there's smaller, simpler things that you can do that would actually be better than some big crazy change that you think you need to have. You know what I'm saying? Like for men, a lot of the time, I think one of the easiest ways to improve how your appearance is having a good shave, like having your hair shaved in a nice way, whatever suits you, whether short hair, long hair, whatever hair. And again, facial hair can make a big difference to your face without doing anything else much, like, you know, just changing the size of clothes you wear. Sometimes guys wear really like tight clothing, and I'm like, if your shirt was like a size bigger, you would be looking more attractive immediately. Carrying yourself with confidence increases people's attractiveness. You know what I'm saying? Finding what suits you for your body type. So like for us as women, we all have such different body types. So different things suit different body types based on certain things. So like, for example, if you're got a shorter woman, then maybe something like a midi length skirt isn't going to be as cute as if you wore like a mini skirt, right? Which can show off your legs. If you've got nice legs and will show off your legs, bring more attention to your legs. Then if your upper half, if you're concerned about your upper half, like, why is it that we're going straight to the surgery? And then also, what about if you are interrupting your opportunities? What if the Lord has in store for you? Like, let's say that the Lord has in store for you people that he wants to bring around you, but they don't even recognize you because what they're expecting to see and what they're looking for, they can't even see because you've changed everything so much. And anyway, why are we changing anything for anything? And again, why even change anything amongst our own categories of things? Like, why would I change my body to try and like either to impress somebody, like from the opposite sex, or to feel more like I fit in with my own gender? Why would I? And I know a lot of people say like, and I get it. I feel this as well. Like, you look in the mirror and it's like, but I do this for myself. It would make me feel better. I get it. But then also the problem is just that we're now moving away from nothing is real anymore. And like, it's crazy to me how we've gotten to the stage where now it's just normalized. And the thing is with this stuff, and this is one thing that is a trick of the kingdom of darkness, right? Is, I've said this in another video. If you give the devil an inch, he'll take infinity, right? When we start to do something, it always starts as little, and then before you know it, we're overdoing it. Before, in the beginning, we were doing, you know, there was a bit of Botox, and it was a lot of like, you know, celebrities and also especially particularly older women getting Botox. And we were all okay with it, right? We took an inch because we were like, fair enough, aging is difficult, particularly as a woman, because as a woman, you know, whatever. And we all understood it, and fair enough, right? But now when we've got 18-year-olds on their birthdays waiting to get boob job and waiting to start getting lip filler, now we've got to the point where getting lip fillers and cheek fillers and this and Botox here and Botox there is part of our bi-weekly or tri-weekly routine. Because like for a lot of us girlies, we know that we have all of our appointments that come up every couple of weeks, you know, the hair, the nails, the eyebrows, the eyelashes, the lasering, all the stuff that we do to upkeep ourselves as women, because it is its own job in and of itself, right? Which is why these influencers, actually, I see why they do this stuff, because the amount of time it takes for them to keep up with all this stuff to look the way that they do, and this is why society is so backwards, it requires a whole job, as they have to be getting all the different procedures and keeping up with all the latest procedures. They have to be going and getting this appointment, that appointment. I got my this appointment. And we have all these things that we do now to try and, like, you know, slim ourselves. We go to these people that roll our stomachs so that it helps to freeze our fat tissues and helps to remove it. And it all becomes a whole song and dance. And who is it for? For some likes on Instagram? You know, or to increase your viewership on OnlyFans? Like what are we actually doing? I think we need to bring back normal bodies. I think we need to bring back normal bodies. I think we all need to just start embracing how we are. Let's just start the movement and the winning team. Let's us all start together, right? Let's all say that we're all going to try to find ways to embrace our body. This is why, you know, which the people I do respect, like from the female community, the ones who really built their body in the gym. The ones who really built their body in the gym, because I'm like, good for you. Because that's something that somebody else can do that's going to be helpful for them. Adding in helpful routines and better eating and stuff, that's going to nourish them, that's going to help them to live longer. Going under the knife is risking their life at any given time. And it just upsets me. Honestly, I'm not judging anybody, guys. Like I said, I get it. I look in the mirror myself and I have the same thoughts of all the things that I hear people saying. I have the same thoughts myself, looking at myself thinking, oh my gosh, I would change this, I would change that. How many times do I complain about how fat my face is? That's probably one of the worst ones for me, is my face being fat. So I feel like it just automatically makes my whole upper body look fat. Always. If I actually had a slimmer face, I would look slimmer on this camera right now. I wish I had a way to show you guys what I mean. But yeah, you know, that's just one thing of very many things. And so I'm just worried now, because we're normalizing it so much. And also the guys are doing stuff now. Like, I'm really surprised that the men have taken up to this stuff so much. But then I kind of get it as well, because then you're also competing with the other guys that are doing it. It's like with the whole steroids thing. Like, obviously, a lot of women also are doing steroids and taking testosterone, which is crazy. I can't even envision. Do you know, one thing that's actually one of my anxieties about going in through menopause one day is I do not want to increase my levels of testosterone. I don't want to have more testosterone, okay? Also, testosterone's in the contraceptive pill, so there's another thing. So maybe we actually need to be looking at some of the other issues that might be causing some of the things for us as ladies. Might not always be just our bodies, but also some of the things that we're putting into our bodies, because a lot of it is that as well. Like, a lot of people are eating poorly, not eating poorly necessarily, but eating things that are not fueling your body well, or causing different hormonal imbalances, which is actually what's causing you to be bloated, or which is actually what's causing your face to be puffy. It's actually, because I know that's true for me. I know that that's true for myself. I recently discovered that I basically have a gluten intolerance, and I realized that I just naturally have always stayed away from, you know, eating like most complex carbohydrates. Just not my thing. I've always been more of a meat, fish, fruit, veg kind of gal, and I'm also not a big sweet tooth at all. And what I've noticed is that whenever I for whatever reason do eat more of those types of food, everything just swells up. My stomach swells up, my face swells up, and it's underlying that I can't necessarily pinpoint where it came from until I was on my period. And I was eating the bulldog ramen noodles, right, which are so good, right? And I was been into those for a long time, because I was like, I'm in pain already. So what Korean people do, in Korean culture, I can speak for South Korea, they have this thing that they do where a way to de-stress is to eat spicy food, because the spicy food will distract you from your stresses. So that's what I was doing. I was like, I'm going to eat some bulldog ramen. So I buy myself a 5-pack. And I ate them like every day, because also I had no energy to cook, although normally I love cooking. I buy them every day in a row for 5 days. Oh my gosh, I was bloated for 2 weeks. My face was puffy. I was in pain. And then I realized, oh, so this is why I feel better and slimmer when I eat my normal diet. And my normal diet isn't like some amazing diet, right? So I was bloated because of being on my period. And then I was also bloated because of this whole gluten thing. And I was just like, it was horrible. It was actually so painful, by the way. So it's little things like that. Like sometimes like we're jumping too quickly to some other things. Like, again, a lot of people will comment on my skin and how I have good skin and stuff, but I eat more fat than most people. That's the other thing. I eat more fat than most people on purpose. because I know that there's a lot of things that I can gain from, like, even just having a balanced diet. I try to always eat the rainbow of fruits and vegetables. It's another thing. We're so quick to jump to certain things. You know, people have completely changed things, like even their hair growth because of their diet. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So it's like, first of all, let's stop changing for whoever is whoever, because God created you fearfully and wonderfully made. And that's the other thing for me. This young girl, she got asked about this, and it was actually great. She was asked by somebody, like, if you believe then that you're fearfully and wonderfully made by God, why would you get surgery saying that God made a mistake? And I was like, that is a good and fair question. Are you saying that God made a mistake with the way he created you when he said you're fearfully and wonderfully made? You are the artwork of the Lord. You are the artwork of the Lord. He is a creator. He created this beautiful planet. How many times do you go out and see just beautiful things in this earth that just exist? Like now it's spring. Every spring is so beautiful outside. And it's just nice walking outside and just looking. And I just get lost in it. I get lost. And God created you so specifically, and you hate it. What a shame. You know what I'm saying? And it's for all of us, because I think that about myself. I think that about myself as well. And I think, how can you hate what the Lord created? But also, if we have to keep achieving, because this is the other thing, guys, whatever you put out there, this is one thing we've all learned from social media. There's a reason why there's people like, let's talk about like someone like Emma Chamberlain, for example, right? I don't know if she's a good example now because I haven't seen what she's doing recently. But let's not even talk about her specifically. We'll just talk in general. There's a reason why some people can make videos and they're lying in their bed. Yeah, like there's this dude, that's actually exactly what he does. I don't know if any of you have seen him, but what he does is he gets a clip of where somebody's like explaining something and they're taking ages to explain it, and he just tells you exactly what's happening at the end. And it's just a clip of him in bed like, okay, basically she said da 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 da, and then he's done. He's in bed, he's not done some big production, he's recorded it on his phone, he's uploaded, and boom. People like him can get away with that, and whoever's cool with that is going to be attracted to that, and he's found his people. He doesn't have to pretend to be something else, doesn't have to put on a big production. But then the problem comes, let's look at people like the Sidemen, for example, because recently they've been talking a lot about the struggles that they're having as content creators, because they've been putting out these huge productions and these big productions and productions after productions. Now they've got themselves in a loop where they have to keep producing these high quality things, when in reality they realistically would want to maybe do some of the simpler type of stuff, but they're struggling to allow themselves, even when the fans are saying it, because they feel the pressure now that they need to put on these big productions. And so this is what I'm saying. We then put ourselves in a position where you're the one who's now the reason why people are expecting you every time to show up. And now you do have to show up, because now you built your brand, or you built your friendship group, or you built whatever you built off of the way you carried yourself. That's why even when women complain like, oh, I can't believe that this guy that I'm with said that he thinks I'm ugly without makeup on, and he wants me to wear makeup all the time. I'm like, well, did you wear makeup every single time you saw him? Because if you did, then that's who you saw. So what do you expect? Don't sell something you're not willing to upkeep. And think about the risks of that upkeep. Honestly, that's why for me, there was a time in my life when I first started going to the gym where I lost a lot of weight. I lost a lot of weight and I got super duper lean. In fact, I had a 4-pack and everything. I was so impressed with myself. I'll never go down that far again, because what I would needed to do that at the time is not something I would ever do now. It's not conducive for my lifestyle. And also, I don't want anybody to be involved in my life in any way, shape, and form with a part of a lifestyle that I cannot upkeep. And I also don't even want to show off that lifestyle, because it wasn't even healthy how I got there. Because I was going to the gym, I was doing crazy workouts, you guys, and I was like, literally, I was doing like 45 minutes on the treadmill, 45 minutes on the cross trainer. Then I would always do abs, arms, and abs. I was doing abs, arms, ass. That was my workout routine. And then I would do like 25. I'll pick like 3 ab exercises, and I'll do like 3 of them, and I'll do them like 20 to 50 times each, 3 times, then 4 times again, all the way start to finish the circuit. I'll do something similar then with my arms, and it's just crazy. And I only ate 1,000 calories a day. Like, it was not helpful. I was loving it. Don't get me wrong. I was like looking at myself in the mirror every single day, but it's not conducive. And also, it's not the more womanly style body that I like to have, because I like having a body that feels like a woman as opposed to being like that. But I know that I could be that. Doesn't mean that I should be that. But then if I am going to be that and anything happens as a result of being that, like if I now build a whole platform off of making fitness content, then if I decide all of a sudden to do this, that might cause me some issues. We've seen that a lot. It happens on both sides where people no longer want to support somebody because they decide I was being too overly strict and now I'm being less strict, and sometimes that works out for people because then they garner a new audience, or the audience feels more comfortable. Sometimes it backfires because people are like, no, we want to know how we're going to have a six-pack, and that's what we want to hear. And so you then become a slave to everybody else. And that's for me what it kind of is. It's almost like we're a slave to everybody else. Because realistically speaking, at the end of the day, I want to know, and I actually would love to somehow know this for myself. Actually, I already know my own answer. If we were never going to see anyone, ever, like, what of these things would we actually still change anyway? Like, if we were just going to know that we were going to exist by ourselves, but our goal is still to live as long as possible, but we're just going to exist by ourselves. We're not going to interact. We're going to have friends. We're not going to be seen anywhere. We're not going to whatever. What would we do differently? Because to me, it just seems like we're all just creating this fake society. And like I said, my biggest concern now is that when is it going to stop? Because the standards only get higher. That's what happens when you do stuff like this. The standards, they only get higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, because now you want to achieve more and you want to achieve even better, and you want to achieve. That was like me in the gym. I would do my whole workout like I just described. And then at the end of the gym, if I still had energy, I'd be like, let's just do it again. And I'd do the whole workout all over again. The whole workout all over again. For no good reason. Because I was getting addicted. I was getting addicted to the fact that every time I go in the mirror, I can see a little bit more of this 4-pack, and I can see a little bit more of this. And actually, I like how my arms look. And actually, I like the attention that I'm getting. And actually, I like that I can go out basically naked and look amazing. So I'd want to go more and more and more and more and more and more. It became like, to the point where I was like, this is unhealthy. You know what I'm saying? And that's the nature of a lot of these things. And we start to overly fixate on things like appearance and just vain things. Like, we all do it. Like I said, we're all doing it. We'll do it and we're all doing it. And it's good. It's healthy to an extent, because we should care about how we carry ourselves. We should care about our appearance, looking after our bodies, looking after whatever. But also, it's just like, who are we doing it for? And also, if you're doing it for a certain category of thing, then you may be disrupting the opportunity to have something else. You might be like, for example, for me, one thing that I've realized is that some of these women I find these days, I find them to be a little bit, I'm not going to say who I'm thinking of someone in particular. They come across, they're the type of person that, like, personality-wise, I probably would like them as a person. But now, because of all the work that's been done and the fact they can't move their face, they just seem really pretentious. And so it's these little things where it's like, oh, now you can't move your face and now you can barely smile. And now it's affecting your ability in life to actually have certain things and how you're coming across to others. Right, or how people, because we do live in a society where I do think to some extent people should be able to understand something off of the way that you come across. It is going to say something. It's going to make some kind of a statement. That's what I believe is the beauty of fashion as well, right? As opposed to anything else, because with fashion you can make a statement, whatever statement you want to make. But with things that are like permanent, things like plastic surgery and stuff like that, I mean, in another world, I would get a face tattoo. I won't, but I would. I would get a face tattoo. I really would. But I've realized that in certain situations, for certain things, it may not be for the best in the long run. You know what I'm saying? And it might be fun and games now, and it might be cute now, and I might feel, whatever. But there are certain things that I want to do and certain things that I want to be that I may not necessarily be in agreement with the fact that I made that decision in the long run. Not to mention the risk element of so many of these things. The fact that you're risking your body, you're putting foreign objects into your body. Your body God already created all of the entry points into our body that are needed. And those entry points all have their own systems as to how they deal with foreign things coming in successfully, without need for us to interact and to help them at all. Like how you can eat, and your body has a whole digestive system with all these different organs that know what they need to do and how to, this is where this is broken down, this is where that's broken down, and this is where these nutrients absorbed into the bloodstream, and so on and so forth. Right? Our whole bodily systems, they all have ways of figuring out how to do the entry and exit and entry points. So when we're just now cutting into things and like putting in foreign objects, it's risky. It's very, very risky. And I'm even saying this as somebody who has poked a bunch of holes in my body. As I'm saying, I'm not judging people. I'm just saying we might be taking this too far now. And who are we actually doing it for? Actually, who are we actually doing it for? And is it actually even worth it? And are we prepared, especially for us young women? Like so many of us, so many of the procedures that are getting done need to be redone every 10 years. So if you're getting it done at 18, and let's say that you live to even just, I don't know, 70 even, you got to come back every 10 years on that same scar tissue. It's risky. You're going to go under that. You're going to risk your whole life again. And for what? And for where? When you can happily just exist as you are, and whoever loves you, whoever doesn't. You look after yourself in a way that makes you feel confident and healthy, and we all move on. And that's what we should all be doing as men and women, I feel like. It's not that deep. If you're not trying to be a bodybuilder, if you're not trying to work as a bodybuilder, why is man obsessed with all these muscles? And anyways, can be very real. A lot of these guys with big muscles, yeah, because I've actually... a lot of these guys with muscles, yeah, they're very... there's a lot of things about them that are actually quite off-putting as a woman. Like, first of all, the amount of time spent on having to upkeep their body and the strictness of their diets. The vanity also is at another level because they take a lot of pride in the way that they look, which means that sometimes there are other areas of their life that are not being dealt with as well as they could be. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bring back the dad bod, honestly. I love me a good dad bod, actually. Because you know why? Because, like, to me, that signifies you got better priorities in life. Like, you got other stuff to be doing. Maybe you can't afford to be going to the gym five hours a day. And maybe I like that. Because what are you actually doing with the rest of your day? And I actually probably will find it more interesting than finding you and your friends all grunting and, like, posing in the mirror and getting a pump in the gym. Respectfully. And those guys as well in the gym, if I can be very honest. I've heard so many stories about certain issues these guys have where I'm just like, wow, this is going to take over everything. And for what? Just to look good? For what though? Like, literally for what, actually? For what? Because it's not a health thing anymore at that point. It's not I want to just stay in good shape thing. It's like an obsession now. It's like, you know what I'm saying? And for what? For a public as well, especially if you're like doing it as an influencer. For a public that can literally switch on you at the blink of an eye. Like, do something, you know what I'm saying? Have a skill. Even us as ladies, have a skill. Have something you're actually really good at. You know, that nothing and no one can take away from you. Something that will be effective during the zombie apocalypse. Because this is what I'm thinking recently. Recently I've been thinking, wow, I don't feel like I've got any valuable... Well, actually, I do have... I don't know. Do I have skills that are valuable for, like, survival and the zombie apocalypse and all these things? Because what happens? What happens if everything goes? What happens if all the electricity goes out, all the power shuts down, and what happens if all the food was whatever, and then we're all stuck? What's all of this? What are all of these procedures going to mean at that point? What is all the risk? What happens if you go under the knife and the people that you love lose you because you died? You know what I'm saying? We'll be quick to say to somebody that has ideas of self-deleting, oh, you know, you shouldn't do that, or how will your family feel, how will so-and-so feel? But we don't have these same sentiments when it comes to things like surgeries and surgical things. We're flying to other countries, you don't even know these people, you don't even know if they truly meet the standards of like where the countries that you come from, and we're all just risking it all, and we're all very early into it, because these are things we're all early into. A lot of these new technologies and a lot of the prevalence of a lot of the things that we're doing, we're not really going to know the true effects until like 50 years later. So actually, I'm kind of quite happy in a way. I feel like I'm investing in the future. Because I feel like when all of this starts to go to hell in about however many years, I'm going to be like one of the best looking like old people ever. I honestly, that's what I'm banking on, you know. And also, who cares? Who actually cares? God created me. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. He created you. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. And he didn't make a mistake. He knew what he was doing. He knew why he was doing it. He knew what his plan was for your life. And just like I really think you should love yourself for who God created you to be. And you should have focus on the people that love you for who God created for you to be. Not pandering or changing to some version of something else. Because for what, really? You know what I mean? And then you end up attracting the opposite thing of what you want. And like, what I mean by that is, if I'm as a female, right, like this is something I learned just in the way I carry myself, right? Because the way I used to dress myself, I would dress like a lot more, I don't know, don't want to think of the wrong word here. I would dress very differently to how I dress now, right? And I realized that because of that, I attract friends who also were like that, but then I'm attracting the wrong kind of friends because that's not who I really am as a person. And so then I actually don't feel fulfilled in my relationships because I'm attracting something that isn't what I am. The more that I tap into just being who I naturally want to be, regardless of what the rest of the world and anybody else thinks, the more I just naturally attract those people who are on my wavelength, if that makes sense. And so again, how are the people that, you know, the Lord and God and the world has for you going to acknowledge you if you're not being who you truly are? They're not going to see you because you're not there to be seen, if that makes sense. And so all this changing and chopping and changing that we're doing, and then we're wondering why life is so hard, why it's hard to find this, it's hard to find that. Well, because you put yourself in a certain category and now you have to keep that up. See what I'm saying? So anyway, that's all I got to say on that. I think let's just normalize normal bodies. Again, let's just normalize just like loving ourselves for who we are, looking after ourselves enough that we're healthy enough, and just not caring what people have to say or what people think. The people love God, love yourself for who God created for you to be, and then anybody who loves you for who God created you to be will be attracted to you. As in, like, when I say attracted to you, I mean like attracted to you. Like, I don't mean in like just a relationship sense. I mean like in a friendship sense, in a everything sense, in a community sense. You'll find a community that matches the way you look. And like, oh my gosh, these are my people. So yeah, just thought I would share that with you all because yeah, who are we doing this for? Really? Anyways, if life's a game, let's play to win. God loves you all. And I'll see you in my next one.